Hello, I'm Dick Cavett, and I was in London when I got the anticipated call that the great director Ingmar Bergman, after some time, had consented to do an interview with me. So, of course, I flew to Sweden, thrilled, fascinated, and his work had thrilled me so that I thought, what can the man be but a disappointment? He'll either be a dark creature practically living in a cave with webs and bats, or he will be what he was, a jovial man. Inconceivable that he was Ingmar Bergman. And how could he have made films like the one in which the bloody skull, head of a child comes floating out of the black water and back down again? And he calls that just some of my poetry. We sent him a show. He asked to see from a list of shows Orson Welles. We sent him that. He watched it. He said, I must tell you that during the monologue I did not like you. But when you sat down with Orson Welles, you were a totally different person. I've never entirely figured that out. Also, a treat on the show, we were joined by the great Bibi Andersson, the star of many of his films. There's a particular moment I love in this interview where Bergman's discussing the effect the film Black Beauty had on him as a child. Watch for that. It's very moving. It can be goose pimple time. Not everybody digs Bergman, and it's not always easy to know if you're a Bergmanite or not. I would say if you went to see the Fockers twice, you probably aren't. The great Ingmar Bergman.
Sitting next to me is certainly one of the most admired, and I might even say one of the most worshipped men in the movie world, or in the entire entertainment theatrical industry. Ingmar Bergman has directed an astonishing number of film masterpieces, and Wild Strawberries and Smiles of a Summer Night, and The Seventh Veil, The Seventh Seal, of course, The Magician, The Virgin Spring. They go on, the list, Through a Glass Darkly, and The Passion of Anna, and I've left out a great number of them. He has agreed to talk with us tonight, and I've always wanted to meet him, and later Bibi Andersson, whom you've seen in many of his films, will be joining us, one of his stars. I guess, first of all, I must compliment you on being exactly on time today. I know that you like punctuality, and we met last night, and I was a little worried because I got there just as the clock was striking, and I knew your reputation for liking people to be on time. Do you allow your actors to be late from time to time?
They aren't.
Yeah.
I think we know we have just this time to make our best, and if we start at the same time, I think it's always the best.
Yeah.
I think I have this with to be punctual from my childhood. I wasn't at all when I was a child. My father was very punctual. He was a pedant, and I was very lazy. I was very much dreaming in my childhood. I very often mixed up dreamings with reality, and I didn't know exactly what happened to me, and time didn't exist. But he educated me very hard, so I had to learn to be punctual, and this is still there. I think for some people it's very, very hard.
I'd say that most artists were unhappy children. Would you put yourself in the category of an unhappy child as opposed to a happy child? On balance, were you happier than you were?
Was you a happy child?
I think I was, but I have a feeling that maybe I've edited out all of the bad things and just remembered the...
So you was secure, happy?
Relatively so, yes.
Yes, but you are much younger than I am, so
Yeah.
so I think I could be your father. So I think it was quite another time.
Yeah.
And our education was very tough, very hard. It was not the education that time, in the 20s, here in Sweden, was not to build up free human souls human beings.
It was a rigid...
Strong characters. It was not...
Yeah.
But it was to create obeying.
Yes, to create an obedient
obedient
child.
slaves, you know, in the hierarchic construction of the society.
Who was at the top?
God, of course. God was in the top, and then the king, and then the father, and some steps under the father was the mother, and then the teachers, and the school, and the elder brother, of course, and then under everybody were the workmen, you know, the nurse. It was terrible. And we had this very hard.
And the children the lowest.
Yes, and the children were educated of everybody, because the children couldn't talk, the children had no rights. The children had no rights. And, you know, the parents could never admit they had made something wrong, and said, anybody of my parents ever say, forgive me to the children. It was impossible.
Parents were always right.
Yes, they were always right, as God, as king.
Well, how in that disciplined a setting did you burst into making a film? The first
No,
film,
it's you know, when I was, I remember when I was small, 5, 6, 8, 10 years, until I was 12, 13 years, I was very happy. I was very happy, and because I lived in dreams, I was very alone, far away from everything. I just worked with I built some small puppet theaters, and I played with them. I liked dolls.
Did you like animals?
I made sketches.
Did you like animals? Did you have pets?
No. I was afraid of all animals. I was a very scared little child, but I liked to be alone and to play with my things. And I created them myself. And I was very peaceful. And then, but life around me, the darkness, the emptiness of the house, the sunshine, everything could have some magic inside that could be suddenly very unsecure, you know. And suddenly I didn't know if I dreamt things or if they existed. Do you understand what I mean?
Yes, whether they were real
so sometimes